Hello students, welcome to today's class on PPSUC. Today we'll discuss about some programs uh, that are applications of pointers. We'll see how pointers and dynamic memory allocation can be combined uh, to write efficient C programs. Okay, so let us start with the first program. For creating a simple integer pointer, character pointer, and float pointer. Then assign memory for these pointers to store integer values, character value, and a float value. Okay. So we'll start with the first one, stdio.h inclusion. And then stdlib.h is compulsory if you want to work with the malloc function. Okay. So right now, starting with the main program, the main function, first thing is a pointer variable for storing an integer address, a character variable for storing the address of a character, and a float variable uh, for storing the address of a float. So these three are declared as int star, char star, float star, uh, such that they become integer pointer, character pointer, and float pointer respectively. Okay, so these three are three pointer variables which are capable of storing integer address, character variable address, and a float variable address. Okay, now how do you allocate memory for these pointer variables and create one memory location? So the syntax of malloc we already discussed in our previous classes. So it is int star, because for storing integer variable you require int star typecasting followed by a malloc function, and the parameter for this is number of bytes. So because we need only one memory location, the formula is 1 into size of integer. Okay, so it requires either 2 bytes or 4 bytes. Therefore the corresponding memory, either 2 bytes or 4 bytes, will be allocated by malloc, and the starting address will be returned to this IVAR. So this will create an integer pointer and assigns the address of the memory location which is created. Similarly, this CVAR is a character pointer, and we create memory location using char star. Observe the difference. If you are storing the address of a character variable, the typecast is char star. If you are storing the address of an integer variable, the typecasting is int pointer. Similarly, if you are storing the address of a float variable, the typecasting is float star, followed by the function name malloc. You can remember this easily now. And because only one memory location I want, it is going to be 1 into size of float and 1 into size of char. Here it is 1 into size of int. Okay, so these three statements will create the memory locations and stores the corresponding address into the respective variables. Then once the memory locations are created, now you can make use of these pointer variables to store uh, the values into it. Okay, so uh, we are asking, please enter an integer value for the user, and then scan of percentile D. We are just saying IVAR, not ampersand, because IVAR itself is an address of the corresponding memory location. Therefore, ampersand is not required here. Similarly, uh, here we are asking enter character value and scan of percentile C, comma CVAR. Here also we are not giving ampersand because CVAR itself uh, is a address. Okay, you need to observe this space over here. After entering an integer value here, when you press enter, that will go to the character. Therefore, to avoid that storing that enter into the character variable, give a space over here. Okay, so it will be ignored now. Then the character value will be taken into CVAR. Similarly, enter float value is the message. And then here also we are not mentioning any ampersand because FVR already stores the address of the corresponding variable. Okay, so with these three statements, the values of integer variable and the character variable and float variable are read. Okay, so what you need to understand is you don't require this ampersand because these are already pointer variables and are treated as addresses. Okay, then you can display the values of the corresponding pointer variables finding by using this percentile D, percentile C, percentile point to F. This percentile point to F says that after decimal point there is only 2 digits required for the float number, and star IVAR refers to the value stored at the address of IVAR, and star CVAR refers to the value at the address stored in CVAR. Similarly, star FVAR refers to the value stored at the address FVAR. Okay, so for displaying, we will make use of dereferencing operators like this. Star operators are called as dereferencing operator. Okay, so this will display the values entered by the user, right? And once the work is done, you need to free up all the memory card by your pointer variables. So free of IVAR releases the corresponding memory. Free of CVAR also releases, free of FVAR releases the memory. Okay, so what we did in this program is we declared 3 pointer variables and we allotted memory for the pointer variables. Then we read some values into it. Then we displayed the values using the referencing operators, and then the memory card by all the pointer variables are freed up. Okay, this is what we did in this program, right? So all of you practice this program at your home. And the second program we are going to discuss is how to take text from the user and display it back to the user with the help of dynamic memory allocation. That means this program works with strings. Again, stdio.h and stdlib.h are required for your program. This is required for allocation, dynamic memory allocation functions, and this is for input-output statements. Okay, so I'm declaring a pointer variable char star here for receiving the text. So the name of variable is given as text. You can choose any name here and enter the limit of text. That means the number of characters that user wants to enter. I'm asking. It is stored into n. So n is now the number of characters that will be entered by the user. So you need to allot memory for this pointer variable with exactly n memory locations. How do you do that? So text is equals to pointer variable is equals to the type of memory location we require is char star. So typecast it with char star followed by malloc of number of locations required is n into size of char. So this will create n memory locations which are of size 1 character. Okay. So memory is allocated properly. Then we'll ask the user to enter text. Get_s. I'm using get_s here for receiving the text. Okay. This is scanf with empty is done to clear any input buffer if there are any previous values stored into the input buffer. We are just clearing it, and then we are calling get_s with the text pointer. Okay, so the string will be copied over here. If you use get_s, it can read the entire string with spaces also. Okay, then the next printf statement displays the message inputted text is %s comma text. So we read the text and we are displaying the corresponding text. Okay, so follow the 3 things: allocation of memory dynamically for the text pointer, that is char pointer, and then reading the string into the corresponding character pointer, then displaying it back to the user. Once the work is done, free up the memory using the function free of text. Okay, so this is our second program in which we created a character pointer, and then we allocated memory using malloc with exactly the number of locations specified by the user. Then we read some text into it. Then we displayed the text back to the user. Okay, so this is our second program. Now let us discuss about the third program. This we will try to create a one-dimensional array and then print sum of all elements along with the array elements using dynamic memory allocation. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a pointer which points to a one-dimensional array. Then we'll store some values from the user into this array, and then we'll sum up all the elements given by the uh, user and display the sum. So again, the two library functions are included into the program. Then because we want to create an array dynamically, you require a pointer of type int star. Okay, so int star can store elements of integer elements addresses. Okay, int star arr now can be used to create a one-dimensional array dynamically. Okay, so we'll see that in a few moments. And again, initially sum is created as 0. Next, I'm asking how many elements will be entered by the user, the number of elements I'm asking. So it will be given as limit. So this variable, limit variable, is used for storing the number of elements given by the user. So we want to create these many locations, limit number of locations, and assign the memory to this ARR. Therefore, ARR is equals to, the typecasting is int star because ARR is a int pointer. So int star malloc of limit into, limit is the number of locations user wants. So limit into size of each location, that means size of int. Okay, so this will create the specified number of memory locations and assigns the base address into ARR. Okay, so now the memory is ready to store the values. Here is a simple check for whether the memory is allotted properly or not. If ARR is equals to null, it means RAM is not having empty locations to assign memory for this ARR. It will fail, then malloc will fail. Insufficient memory we are displaying and exit the program with the help of return 0. Okay, so otherwise memory is properly created and ARR is ready to store the elements. Therefore, if this is not done, if ARR is not equals to null, then the control comes over here asking enter percentile d elements, comma limit. That means specified number of elements should be given. That means enter, for example, if limit is given as 10, enter 10 elements it will ask. If limit is given as 20, enter 20 elements it will ask. Okay, so we are asking the user to enter exactly the same number of elements that he said. Okay, now how to read the elements? We will make use of a for loop. We know how to do this. For I is equal to 0, I less than limit I plus plus, enter percentile 3d comma I plus 1. Here percentile 3 specifies that the number is properly aligned as a 3-digit number. Okay, and it will ask the user to enter the element every time, and scan of percentile d comma. Here you need to observe this ARR plus I. So you can ask like ARR of I. Okay, there are several possibilities. You can ask this as ARR of I, or you can ask it as ARR of plus I. Okay, so let me draw this with so this can be %. Okay, this is not possible to draw. Okay, let me take it. So the possibilities are, in place of ARR plus I can be written as ARR of I. Before that, you need to write %. Okay, either this way or one is already written over here. ARR plus I is already written over here. This is another possibility. Okay, or Another way is address of ARR of I can be represented as star of ARR plus I. Okay, so there are three possibilities to write this statement in pointer notation, either this way or this way or this way. If you write this way also, ampersand and star will be cancelled together because one is address and the other one is a dereference. Therefore, the result is going to be ARR plus I, which is taken over here. Okay, so you can write it anyway. And then immediately calculating the sum also, sum is equals to sum plus star of ARR plus I refers to the element. This refers to the address. This refers to the element at that address. Okay, so star of ARR plus I. Or you can write this as ARR of I also, sum plus ARR of I. Let me take one more here. This you can write like this also, sum is equals to sum plus ARR of I. So writing this is array notation, writing this is pointer notation. Either this way or this way you can write. These two are same. Okay. So this loop reads all the elements and calculates the sum of all the elements given. So at the end of this loop, you will get the sum of all the elements given by the user. Okay. Now, uh, let me erase this. Okay. Now, because the work is done, sum is calculated, I would like to display the elements of the array by using a for loop. For I is equal to 0, I less than limit I plus plus. Printf percentile d star of ARR plus I. Okay, again here you can make use of ARR of I also. And then I'm displaying the sum of elements as printf sum of all elements is percentile d comma sum. So display the array elements and display the sum also. The task is done. Okay, here it's not the memory is not freed up, so you can write a free statement here, free of ARR, to free up the entire memory allotted. Okay, so you can do that. So that is our third program in which we created a pointer to store the array elements, and then we allotted memory, and then we read the elements and then calculated the sum of all the elements given by the user. Okay. Our next program is related to structures, and we'll see how dynamic memory allocation can be used for creating structures dynamically, structure variables dynamically, and how to work with those structure variables. So we know that structures need to be defined properly. This is actually structure definition. It's not declaration, it is structure definition. Right. Struct student, char name of 30, int roll number, and float percentage. So there are three members in this struct definition, struct student definition. And generally what we do is we'll create a structure variable by using the syntax struct student followed by a general variable s1, let us say. Instead of that, I'm using a pointer variable pstd, pointer to student. So this is of type struct student star. Okay, so I'm creating a pointer variable instead of a general variable to the structure. Okay, now because it is a pointer variable, you need to create it dynamically. So pstd is equals to, the type is struct student star. Whatever type is used for creating the pointer variable, it should be used here for casting the value returned by your malloc. Okay, so struct student star, then malloc, followed by the parameter is, we require only one structure variable, therefore 1 into size of struct student. So this will create one memory location where we can store three members in it. Okay, And a small check is done over here. If PSTD is equals to null, it means insufficient memory in RAM. Therefore, you need to stop executing your program by using this return 0. Otherwise, the memory allocation is successful. Then you can start asking the user to enter details. So enter name, and then because name is a string, I'm using getS over here. GetS PSTD. Look at this symbol. Arrow symbol needs to be used when you are working with the pointer to structure. Okay, I told this in our previous theory session. So PSDD arrow name. This refers to the member name pointed by the structure pointer PSTD. Okay, so if it is a general variable, you must have access the corresponding member as s1 dot name. Okay, but if a pointer variable is used to refer to the structure memory, then arrow operator should be used. So there are two types of member access operators, as I told earlier. One is dot operator, which will be used with general structure variables. Another one is arrow operator, which will be used with the structure pointers. Okay. Similarly, we'll ask the user to enter roll number and scanf %ld ampersand psdd arrow roll. So you need to use arrow for every member access. Again, I'm asking enter percentile f ampersand psdd arrow %. So all the members got the values now, and display the values by using printf statements here. Enter details are name %s, roll number %d, percentile point to f, referring these three %s, %d, and percentile point to f with these members. So PSTD arrow name is placed over here for %s replacement, and PSDD arrow roll will be displayed at the position of %d, and PSDD arrow percentage will be displayed at the position of percentage point to f. Okay, so you will get the appropriate message given over here. And finally, if you want to free up, you can write a free statement here, free of the corresponding pointer name. The pointer name is PSTD, which releases the memory card by the corresponding pointer variable once you are done with your program. Okay. So this is about structures and pointers. And our last example is a little bigger one. I want to perform addition of two matrices with the help of pointers and dynamic memory allocation. Earlier, we did this program addition of matrices without using any pointers and dynamic memory allocation, where we declared the size of each matrix to be 3 by 3 statically. Okay, but in this program, I'm going to ask the user about the size of matrices also. So I'm not going to fix the memory, that is matrix sizes to 3, 3. Okay, so I'll ask the user to enter the sizes, and then based on the sizes entered by the user, I will check whether addition is possible or not. When addition is possible, if both the matrices are of same size. Okay, so that means number of rows in first matrix is same as number of rows in second matrix, and number of columns in first matrix is same as number of columns in second matrix. If that property satisfies, then we can perform matrix addition. I will check that, and then I'll ask the user to enter the values into matrices. Then I will perform the addition of the given two matrices. So let us start with this. You require standard lib.h for using the allocation functions. Okay, so this row represents the number of rows in first matrix. COL represents the number of columns in second matrix. Row 2 represents the number of rows in second matrix. COL2 represents the number of columns in second matrix. Okay, these two are used for first matrix, and these two are used for second matrix. And assume that for representing the first matrix, I will make use of P. I'll declare this as a double pointer. So as I told earlier, you require double pointer to point to two-dimensional array. And this Q is also a double pointer, which will point to the second matrix. And the addition of these two matrices will be stored into another double pointer R. Okay, so star star P star star Q are the two pointers to store the first matrix and second matrix, and star star R is the pointer for storing the result of addition of these two matrices. Okay, then I'll start with asking the user how many rows are there in the first matrix. uh, Copy to ampersand row, number of columns in first matrix, copy to ampersand column. Then ask the user to enter, you need to allocate memory here. Look at this syntax. For I is equal to 0, I less than row, I plus plus, P is equals to the first matrix, P is equals to, the type is int star star, malloc of number of rows into size of int. Okay, number of rows into size of int. Right. So now it is allotted and pointers, a list of a collection of pointers of exactly same as rows. That means each row is a 1D array which stores the values into it. So for that we have created array of pointers that are same as row size. Okay, now we need to create memory location for storing the values. How many rows are there? I is equals to 0, I less than row, I plus plus. Each row, that is P of I refers to each row of the matrix. Each row is allotted with the memory exactly same as int star malloc, int star because every P of I is one-dimensional array of the matrix. Okay, so every row is treated as a 1D array. Therefore, you require int star here, malloc of how many locations we require in each row, exactly the number of columns. Okay, so each row contains specified number of columns. Therefore, COL into size of int. Okay. So these two for loops will allot memory for your two-dimensional array. So first you need to create array of pointers, and then you need to allot memory for storing the values in each pointer referring to a 1D array. Okay, so with this P is ready for usage. Therefore you cannot ask the user to enter the first matrix elements. So enter the first matrix elements, you can ask like that. This is mentioning the size over here, percentile d by percentile d, saying row by column. Okay, so for I is equal to 0, I less than row, I plus plus. For j is equals to 0, j less than column, j plus plus, scan of percentile d. This is star of p plus I plus j, which can be written as p of ij also. Okay, so p of ij can be used here instead of this. So in place of this, you can write like this also. If you feel anything difficult over here, you can write ampersand p of ij here. Okay, so ampersand p of ij or star of p plus I plus j are going to be same, right? Okay, then the next thing is with respect to the second matrix. With these two loops will read all the elements of first matrix. Then we will continue the same process for second matrix also, just like what we did for the first matrix. First, we need to read the number of rows. Let us say it is row 2, that is entered by the user, and the number of columns entered by the user read into the column 2. So row 2 and column 2 are now representing number of rows in second matrix. And a for loop for allocating the memory, again just like what we did in the uh, first matrix memory allocation. Q is equals to, just the name is changed here, Q is equals to int star star malloc of row 2 into size of int. So these many pointers need to be created for Q. So now this is allotted with the array of pointers, which is equals to specified number of rows for second matrix. Okay. Then this is again going to uh, create memory locations for each row. So Q of I represents one row at a time, and it is creating int star malloc of specified number of columns into size of int. So this will create row wise memory allotment. Okay, because matrix is a collection of rows and columns, so each row consists of several columns which will be treated as a one-dimensional array. Therefore, in each row we are creating a 1D array and storing the base address into Q of I representing that row. Okay, so Q of 0 represents the base address of first row, Q of 1 represents the base address of second row, and so on. Okay, so memory allocation is done properly for the second matrix also. Then ask the user to enter the values into the second matrix by using a printf statement here. Printf enter the second matrix of size percentile d by percentile d, replace with row 2 and column 2. Again, read the elements now from the user by using two for loops. For I is equal to 0, I less than row 2 I plus plus. For j is equals to 0, j less than column 2 j plus plus. Scan of percentile d star q plus I plus j. Okay, or else you can write ampersand q of ij, just like I explained in previous matrix P. Okay, so now it is done. The task is done for reading the two matrices. Both the matrices are available now according to the sizes specified by the user. Okay, now let us check whether matrix addition is possible or not. If number of rows in first matrix, so this mentions the number of rows in first matrix, and this mentions the number of rows in second matrix. If number of rows in first matrix is same as number of rows in second matrix, and this is logical, and number of columns in first matrix is equals to number of columns in second matrix, it means the size of two matrices is same, therefore we can perform addition. Okay, so whenever we say that addition is possible, immediately you need to create matrix R. Okay, again, for creating matrix R, you need to create array of pointers first, exactly same as either number of rows of first matrix or number of rows of second matrix also, because both are same. By using for I is equals to 0, I less than row I plus plus, R is equals to int star star malloc row into size of int. This will create an array of pointers for the matrix R. And again, for each pointer, you need to create a 1D array by using R of I is equals to int star malloc of column into size of int. This will create 1D arrays for each row. Okay, just like we did it for P and Q matrices. So now matrix R is ready for storing elements. Now calculate the addition and store the result into the matrix R. This is done with a for loop, nested for loop. For I is equals to 0, I less than row I plus plus. For j is equal to 0, j less than column j plus plus. Let us understand this. Star of r plus I plus j. Okay, so this is actually a replacement for our regular two-dimensional array statement. Writing this is same as writing this. What we know about 2D arrays is we can write like this: R of ij is equals to P of ij plus Q of ij. Okay, so this is a array notation where we write in our programs exactly same is written in pointer notation. So either you write this way or you write this way, both are going to be same. Okay, you can use this notation here also. There is nothing wrong with it. Because we are using pointer notation, this statement is written in pointer. R of ij is written as star of r plus I plus j, and p of ij is written as star of p plus I plus j, plus q of ij is written as star of q plus I plus j. Okay, so in pointer notation, we can write like this, right? So once this calculation is done, the resultant matrix R is ready with the values. Here we are using this first one as displaying the elements of first matrix. Okay, displaying the elements of first matrix, and then this is used for displaying the elements of second matrix, and finally the result matrix is displayed over here. Printf result matrix is for I is equals to 0, I less than row, and for j is equals to 0, j less than column, j plus plus, printf percentile 4d star of r plus I plus j. So this is just for aligning the elements in a proper way, percentile 4d. After the inner for loop, use a printf slash n to separate the rows of matrix. Okay, it's actually a small mistake in every condition testing of for loop. It is given as double quotes instead of less than. So I'll change it now. I less than row. Here also it is j less than column, and here it is I less than row. Okay, now it is perfect. So we executed the program. We displayed the resultant matrix of after successful addition of given two matrices. Now this else is actually a combination for the condition that we tested. What is the condition we tested? If this one, look at this. Okay, this is actually for row is equals to row 2 and column is equals to column 2. This is the condition we are using. If number of rows in first matrix is equals to number of rows in second matrix, and number of rows in number of columns in first matrix is equals to number of columns in second matrix, then only all these things are possible. That means we'll create matrix R and we will add the values, and then we store the result into R. Otherwise, what is the message that we should give? It is not possible to create or add the given matrices. If number of rows in first matrix is not equal to number of rows in second matrix, then it is not possible to add the given two matrices. So that is the message here for else. So this else is mapped with the corresponding if. If that if is failed, then this else will be executed, saying that addition of matrices, given matrices, is not possible. Okay, so that is how we can execute the matrix programs using dynamic memory allocation. You can observe one thing, that we have given choice of size, matrix size, to the user in our program. Earlier we did it by fixing the memory sizes as 3 by 3 matrices. Okay, so but in this program we did not fix it. We asked the user to enter the sizes of each matrix. Therefore this program is more efficient compared to the earlier program. So practice this program properly. It is a very important program for your examination point of view also. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you understood these programs, and also hope that you'll practice these programs at your home. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you all for your patient listening. So in our next class, we'll be starting the 5th unit. So don't miss the introduction to 5th unit, which will be started in our next class. Thank you all.